I picked up the phone with a heart full of excitement. My fingers trembled as I dialed Sophie's number to ask about her wedding date. "Sophie dear, when's the big day?" I asked. My voice brimmed with joy and anticipation, but Daniel's voice came through instead, cold and sharp. "Eleanor, we got married yesterday already." He paused for a moment. "Only close family attended." His words struck me like jagged glass, piercing deep into my chest. Pain and injustice flooded through me, overwhelming every thought. I stood frozen in my quiet living room, the phone heavy in my hand. How could they exclude me like this? I had supported them tirelessly for years. I paid their $600 monthly rent, totaling $21,600 over 3 years. I bought every piece of furniture in their home. I filled their fridge when they had nothing to eat. Anger surged as I pictured Daniel lounging on the sofa I had gifted them. He wouldn't meet my gaze in my mind's eye. Sophie stayed silent on the line, her absence deafening. "Why wasn't I invited?" I stammered, my voice cracking. Heartbreak tore through me like a storm. Tears welled up quickly and I wiped them away with a trembling hand. No one saw my pain in that moment. I was alone in my house, the one I kept spotless for family visits that rarely came. I thought of the pale blue dress hanging in my closet. I spent $200 on it, dreaming of how nice I'd look in their wedding photos. Photos I'd never appear in now. I had planned a $1,000 gift for them, saving carefully from my retirement funds. I even cleaned my home top to bottom, imagining a post-wedding dinner with laughter. But all those plans crumbled in an instant. Crushed dreams piled up around me. I sacrificed so much for them over the years. I sacrificed my savings, my health, my own happiness. Love drove every choice I made. I am Eleanor Thompson, 58 years old, a retired school teacher. I raised Sophie alone after my husband passed away. I worked extra jobs to provide for her. I gave up hobbies that once brought me joy, all for her future and their comfort. Memories flooded back as I stood there. Beach trips with little Sophie, her giggles echoing in the waves. Warm dinners around the table with Daniel joining us later. He seemed so kind back then. We laughed together as a family. Those days felt perfect and untouchable, but now they tasted bitter, tainted by this cruel betrayal. I hung up the phone slowly. My hands shook with a mix of emotions. They don't know the secret I've kept for love, I whispered to myself. A small, ironic smile formed on my lips. They thought I was just a generous old woman, but something stirred deep inside me. Curiosity about my next move sparked. Pain lingered heavily, but a flicker of resolve began to grow. I sank into my armchair, the one from my teaching days. It usually comforted me, but not today. Heartbreak clawed at my chest relentlessly. I replayed Daniel's words in my head. Only close family. Was I not family to them? I adopted Sophie as a baby, a truth I never shared. Love kept that secret locked away. I wanted her to feel fully mine, no difference between us. Now doubt crept in like an unwelcome guest. Had I made a mistake keeping it hidden? Anger built slowly as I sat there. I paced the room, my steps echoing in the silence. I sacrificed 20 years raising her, I muttered under my breath. I sacrificed my health working late nights. The repetition fueled my growing frustration. Sacrifice after sacrifice defined my life for them. For what? To be excluded from her wedding day. Vivid images flashed in my mind. Sophie's white dress is in those social media photos I found later. I checked secretly, unable to resist. Daniel's parents posed proudly beside the couple. His siblings toasted with sparkling champagne. I had helped pay for that dress with $1,500 from my savings. Ice water poured over my soul as I saw it. I gasped, clutching my chest. How dare they treat me like this? I thought. The pain wrapped me in a tragic embrace, but a hint of dark humor slipped through. They invited everyone but their bank, I chuckled bitterly. The joke stung me deeply. I was their ATM, not special enough for their day. I ended the call with Sophie when she finally spoke. Mom, about the wedding. She trailed off nervously. I waited, my silence heavy. It was small, just us and witnesses, she claimed. Lies. I had seen the photos online. A full, lavish party with dozens of guests. Your family was there, Sophie, I said. Anger edged my words sharply. She stammered in response. Well, kind of. They surprised us. The subtext screamed through her words. She was dodging the truth to avoid blame. My heart ached even more. I see, I replied, my voice cold as ice. I hung up and walked to the kitchen. My hands shook as I made tea. Steam rose, but it couldn't warm the chill inside me. I sacrificed my dreams for them, I whispered. The phrase echoed in my mind. I gave up travel plans to send them money. I skipped gatherings with friends to cover their emergencies. Love had driven every choice, but was it ever returned? Doubt gnawed at me like a persistent ache. Memories shifted as I sipped my tea. Happy ones turned sour with each passing second. Beach house vacations where Sophie built sandcastles. I paid for every trip. Daniel's rare, thanks, Mom, now felt hollow. Exclusion replaced gratitude. Injustice screamed within me. I set the cup down carefully. They don't know my strength yet, I thought, a subtle foreshadowing of what was to come. Pain dominated my heart still. Anger simmered beneath it all. I cried quietly, tears falling for lost years, for unappreciated love, for the dress hanging uselessly in my closet, $200 wasted, dreams shattered. But a spark of resolve ignited inside me. Curiosity about justice stirred. Not revenge, but something righteous. Morning light filtered through my curtains the next day. I rose early and made coffee, its aroma strong and grounding. But bitterness lingered from that call. I sat at my kitchen table, planning my day. No more automatic transfers to them. The thought hit me hard. Rent was due soon, and they'd call again. Predictable as always. Anger flared up once more. I sacrificed enough for them, I said aloud. The phrase echoed with weight. I opened my bank app to check the history. $21,600 is gone for their rent, plus more expenses, furniture at $1,200. The dress is at $1,500, a planned gift of $1,000. The numbers added up to pain. Vivid images of Sophie's wedding photos haunted me. Her wide smile was next to Daniel. His arm was around her proudly. His family is cheering in every frame. I was absent, erased from their joy. Ice gripped my veins tightly. I closed the app and took a deep breath. Something's not right here, my inner voice whispered. Suspicion deepened with every thought. Were they always this way? Memories replayed in my mind. Sophie was a child, so sweet and loving. The adoption secret stayed buried deep. I chose her with all my heart, loved her without condition. No blood needed for that bond. But now I questioned everything. Did she know the truth? No, I had kept it hidden for her sake. Pain wrapped my thoughts in a tragic veil. Anger simmered hotter than ever. I finished my coffee and stood up. Time to act, even if small. I canceled one transfer to test their reaction. The phone buzzed soon after. Daniel's text appeared. Mom, rent's overdue. Can you help? Subtext was clear as day. Desperation hid behind his casual words. I ignored the message. Power shifted slightly in my favor. A hint of my secret strength surfaced. They didn't know it yet. Curiosity about their next move grew. Frustration built tension inside me. I walked to my closet and touched the blue dress. Its fabric was soft, but the dreams attached were gone. Tears fell again as I stood there. I sacrificed my joy for them, I whispered. Repetition reinforced the injustice, but resolve hardened within me. The story was turning, and I was ready. I stared at my journal for a long moment. The pages were filled with raw hurt from the betrayal. Every line seemed to echo my pain. I remembered Sophie's bright laughter at our old kitchen table during those long summer evenings. We would sit there as a family, sharing stories and warmth. Daniel joined us in later years, adding his own smiles over hearty roast dinners. Those moments felt so genuine and perfect back then. We even planned beach trips together, and I saved for months to make them happen. Love poured out from me in those days without question. I gave everything I had to build that happiness. I sacrificed my dreams just for Sophie's future and their comfort. I worked extra shifts at school to cover their needs. I graded papers late into the night, ignoring my own fatigue. I skipped the art classes that once brought me joy. All of it was for her and for them. Sacrifice after sacrifice defined my life with them. I believed it was worth every effort. I thought they truly loved me in return. Those memories now felt hollow and distorted by their cruel wedding snub. Pain lingered like a deep bruise that wouldn't heal. But suspicion began to creep in slowly. Something just wasn't right with how things had unfolded. Their calls always seemed to circle back to money requests without fail. "Mom, we need help with the rent," Sophie's voice would say, sweet as honey every time. I started to see the pattern of manipulation. It was subtle at first, then grew bolder and more insistent. Sophie called again that very week, her tone as sugary as ever. "Mom, how are you doing?" The fillers in her words betrayed her underlying nerves. I stayed quiet for a moment, letting the silence hang. "We really miss you," she added quickly. The subtext screamed through her words. They missed my financial support more than anything. "What do you need now?" I asked her directly. My voice came out sharper than I intended. Tension filled the line between us. "Well, the rent, it's overdue again," she admitted. There it was, the real reason for the call. I pictured her eyes shifting, always calculating. "You don't need such a big house, Mom," she had said to me once before. The memory resurfaced and hit me hard. "It's too much for you at your age." Daniel's voice echoed in agreement. Their words felt like poison now, slow and seeping into my trust, tainting everything we had built. I clenched my fists tightly as anger replaced the initial sadness. "I'm managing just fine on my own," I snapped back. She paused for a second. "Mom, don't be like that." The subtext was clear in her plea. Keep giving and don't resist our needs. I hung up the phone abruptly. My heart raced with a mix of emotions. Suspicion grew roots deep within me. Something's not right, I thought to myself. Their pressure had become relentless over time, suggesting I sell my beloved home for their benefit, criticizing every choice I made as if age weakened me. Their smiles had always hidden a layer of greed. I saw it clearly now. Negative images flooded my mind without warning. Their words were pure venom, dripping with deceit. I needed solid proof to confirm my doubts. I couldn't ignore the signs any longer. I hired a detective named Mr. Hayes. He was quiet and sharp-eyed, the perfect choice. "Find out what they're planning," I told him firmly. My voice was steady despite the turmoil inside. He nodded and got to work immediately. Days later, he brought back the first evidence. Emails exchanged between Sophie and Daniel surfaced, plans to access my bank accounts without permission. If we get her to sign over control, one message read plainly. My stomach churned as I read further. Betrayal stared back in black and white. I scrolled through social media once more. More photos from Sophie's wedding appeared. It looked lavish and full of joy. Daniel's parents beamed proudly in every shot. His siblings toasted with champagne glasses clinking. I had paid for that beautiful dress she wore. $100 straight from my hard-earned savings, all for her happiness on that day. I gripped my heart as I stared. They used me without a second thought, I whispered. Anger burned hotter than before. I found even more in the detective's report, a secret email thread between them. Eleanor's too old to manage her money properly, Daniel had written. We'll take over soon, Sophie's reply confirmed. Concrete evidence lay before me now. My hands shook as I held the papers, pain mixed with fury in equal measure. How could they plot like this, I thought. But another truth loomed in my mind. My long-held secret about Sophie's adoption, kept hidden purely for love's sake. I chose her as a baby and loved her fully. Never told her to protect her feelings. Now it felt like a heavy burden. Would I use it against them? Not yet, but it waited in the shadows. I paced my kitchen back and forth. My coffee grew cold on the counter. I sacrificed 20 years for them, I muttered under my breath. Repetition fueled my growing resolve. I sacrificed my health in the process. My dreams faded away unnoticed. My savings dwindled to nothing. For what end? Lies and manipulation from those I trusted. Their greed was crystal clear now. I sat down at the table heavily, wrote in my journal with urgent strokes, listed every single payment I had made. $21,600 for their rent over the years, around $200 for the furniture in their home, around $500 for the wedding dress she cherished. The numbers screamed injustice at me. They see me as nothing but a bank, I wrote. Anger surged again, hot and unrelenting. But clarity came along with it too. I needed to take action immediately. I canceled the next rent transfer without hesitation. Silence followed for a short while, then the calls started pouring in. Sophie's voice sounded desperate this time. Mom, the landlord's really mad at us. Please help. I stayed firm in my response. No more support from me, I said. She stammered in surprise. But we love you so much. Lies again, thick and obvious. Subtext was painfully clear. They needed money, not my presence. You made your choice when you excluded me, I replied. My voice was cold and unyielding. I hung up the phone. Power shifted in that moment. They hadn't expected any resistance from me. Dark humor bubbled up inside. They thought I'd roll over easily. I chuckled bitterly. The irony stung, but it felt empowering. Suspicion had turned into concrete action. I was done being their silent victim. Days later, Daniel showed up unexpectedly. He stood at my front door, unannounced. Eleanor, we really need to talk, he said. His tone was smooth, almost too polished. About what, exactly? I asked, arms crossed tightly. The rent and the bills are piling up. You stopped helping us suddenly. Subtext rang clear in his words. You're failing us as a family. I laughed bitterly in response. I stopped being your personal ATM. His eyes widened in genuine surprise. Mom, don't say things like that. He stepped closer, trying to intimidate. I stepped back without flinching. Tension crackled in the air between us. You don't need this big house anymore, he said again. The same old manipulative line. Poison laced his voice once more. It's too much for you alone. Age shaming me as always, my anger flared up intensely. Get out of my house now, I said. Short and sharp, no room for argument. He hesitated for a moment. We're just worried about you. More lies, empty and hollow. I pointed firmly to the door. He turned and left reluctantly. My heart pounded hard in my chest. Suspicion was fully confirmed now. They wanted total control, not just handouts, my accounts and my entire life. I called Mr. Hayes right after. Keep digging deeper, I instructed him. He uncovered more disturbing details. Bank inquiries were made in my name without consent, forged signatures on some documents. My blood ran cold as I read. Betrayal deepened with every revelation. But my resolve hardened even more. I'm ready to fight back, I thought. The cliffhanger was set in motion. Action was coming, unstoppable now. I met my neighbor Margaret that same week. She noticed my distress from across the yard. Eleanor, are you okay? Her voice was warm and full of concern. I opened up and told her everything, the secret wedding and my exclusion, the emails plotting against me, the relentless manipulation from both. She listened patiently without interrupting, nodded in understanding as I spoke. I went through something similar, she shared. Family can hurt you the most deeply. Her words soothed my aching soul. I realized I wasn't alone in this. She suggested a lawyer she trusted, Miss Carter, known for being tough. She'll protect you, Margaret assured me. I called Miss Carter that afternoon, explained the betrayal in detail. We'll build a strong case, she said. Her voice was firm and professional. We started planning right away. I felt stronger with each step. Suspicion had evolved into a solid strategy. I remembered Sophie's adoption papers again, locked safely in my hidden drawer. Love had kept them concealed all these years, but now it felt like a potential weapon. They don't know my true strength, I thought, foreshadowing the battle ahead, not overused, just a subtle hint. Anger drove me forward relentlessly. Their poison had fueled my inner fire. I checked my bank statements once more. Another unauthorized attempt had been blocked. My detective was thorough and reliable. More emails surfaced in his report. If we declare her unfit, Sophie had written boldly. My heart sank for a brief moment, but anger rose higher than ever. I decided to act fully, I told myself. The tone was decisive and unwavering. There was no turning back from here. The real fight was on the horizon. I sat at my kitchen table staring at the evidence Mr. Hayes had delivered. My heart pounded with a mix of anger and determination. The emails between Sophie and Daniel lay before me, their words cold and calculated. They planned to seize my accounts, to strip me of control. I had sacrificed so much for them, but now I saw the truth clearly. Their greed had no bounds. I wasn't just their mother or mother-in-law. I was a resource to exploit. But I wasn't helpless. I hired Miss Carter, a lawyer Margaret recommended, to build a case against their betrayal. Her voice over the phone was firm and reassuring. Eleanor will protect your rights, she said confidently. I felt a surge of strength. No more playing the victim. I decided to act strategically to turn their manipulation against them. I purchased a small recorder to capture their words during visits. My plan was simple but bold. Pretend frailty to draw out their true intentions. I documented every payment I'd made. $21,600 for rent, $1,200 for furniture, $10,500 for Sophie's dress. The total, $28,000 screamed injustice. I secured my bank accounts, changing all access codes. I'm ready for this fight, I told myself. My tone was sharp and decisive. They had underestimated me for too long. I met Ms. Carter in her office, a small space filled with legal books. She carefully reviewed the emails and bank records. "This is elder financial abuse," she said, her voice steady. "We'll expose them in court." I nodded, my resolve hardening. I shared my secret with her. The adoption papers proving Sophie wasn't my biological daughter. I had kept it hidden out of love, to protect her sense of belonging. "Will you use it?" Ms. Carter asked gently. I hesitated, my heart heavy. "Not unless I must," I replied. The secret felt like a weapon now, one I didn't want to wield, but their betrayal pushed me closer to revealing it. Ms. Carter outlined our strategy: gather undeniable evidence, present my mental clarity, and show their greed. I installed cameras at home for security, a move prompted by their uninvited visits. I'm prepared for their next move, I thought. Confidence surged through me. I recorded their calls, capturing Sophie's pleading tone. "Mom, we're desperate," she said. Subtext clear, they needed my money, not me. I stayed silent, letting her words betray her. One evening, Sophie and Daniel showed up unannounced. The doorbell startled me. I checked the new camera. There they stood, faces tense. "Eleanor, we need to talk," Daniel said, his tone smooth but calculated. I opened the door, recorder hidden in my pocket. "What's this about?" I asked, feigning confusion. My voice was soft, weak. "We're worried about you," Sophie said, her eyes darting. "You're acting strange, stopping the rent payments," subtext screamed. "You're disrupting our plans." I leaned on my cane, exaggerating a tremble. "I'm just tired," I said faintly. They exchanged glances, thinking me vulnerable. "You don't need this big house," Daniel pressed. "Let us manage things for you." Poison dripped from his words. I nodded slowly, recording every syllable. "I'll think about it," I said. They left, satisfied with my apparent weakness. I smiled grimly after the door closed. They don't know I'm ready, I thought. My tone was confident now, no longer tragic. The recorder held their true intentions, a key piece of evidence. Days later, Ms. Carter called with urgency. "They've filed a lawsuit," she said. "They're claiming you're mentally incompetent." My blood ran cold, but anger flared hotter. They wanted legal control of my finances. I pictured Sophie's fake tears, Daniel's smug face. But I had prepared for this. "We'll fight them," I told Ms. Carter. My voice was firm. She arranged a psychiatric evaluation with Dr. Ellis, an expert in mental capacity. The test was thorough, including memory questions, logic puzzles, and financial scenarios. "Eleanor, your results are excellent," Dr. Ellis said, her voice kind. I felt validated, my mind sharp as ever. We also gathered statements from Margaret and my new book club friends, who saw my clarity daily. I'm not the frail old woman they paint, I thought. My confidence grew stronger. I had hidden assets, too, a small rental property and savings they didn't know about. These were my safeguards, untouched by their greed. "I'm ready to confront them," I told Ms. Carter. Short, decisive thoughts fueled my resolve. The courtroom loomed large on the day of the hearing. I dressed in a sharp navy suit, standing tall despite my nerves. Sophie and Daniel sat across the room, avoiding my gaze. Their lawyer, Mr. Grant, opened with a polished lie. "Eleanor Thompson is confused, isolating herself," he claimed. His voice dripped with false concern. He called Sophie to testify. She cried on cue, her voice trembling. "Mom's changed so much," she said. "We just want to help her." Lies wrapped in tears. Miss Carter cross-examined her sharply. "When did you last call Eleanor without asking for money?" she asked. Sophie stammered, her face flushing. Well, I don't recall." Subtext exposed. She never did. I took a deep breath, my moment nearing. Miss Carter played the recordings from my home. Sophie's voice begged for rent money. Daniel urged me to sign over control. The courtroom grew silent. Their lies unraveled before everyone. I stood to testify, my voice steady and clear. "Sophie, my adopted daughter?" I began, the words heavy. "I loved you as my own, kept it secret for your sake." Gasps echoed. Sophie's face paled. "Your greed forced this truth out," I continued, pain mixed with triumph. They had betrayed a love deeper than they knew. I revealed my hidden assets next, the rental property and savings. "I protected what's mine," I said firmly. The judge leaned forward, listening intently. Ms. Carter presented Dr. Ellis's evaluation, proving my mental clarity. Margaret testified to my strength, her voice warm. "Eleanor's thriving," she said. Their neighbor, Mr. Lyle, had claimed I was erratic, but Miss Carter dismantled his vague accusations. "He never spoke to her directly," she pointed out. The pharmacist, misled by Sophie, retracted his statement. "I was tricked," he admitted. Their case collapsed under the weight of truth. They thought me weak, I thought, gloating, but not cruel. Justice felt close. My inner monologue surged with liberation. I'm no longer their pawn, I realized. My voice in court was triumphant, controlled anger shining through. "Who did you take me for?" I asked them directly. Sophie looked away, defeated. Daniel's jaw tightened. The courtroom held its breath. I had turned the tables completely. Satisfaction washed over me, not malicious but righteous. I was free from their chains at last. The judge deliberated for hours, but I felt calm. My evidence was undeniable. Recordings, financial records, and Dr. Ellis's report. Ms. Carter squeezed my hand. "You did well," she whispered. I nodded, my heart steady. The adoption reveal still stung, but it was necessary. Sophie's betrayal cut deeper because of that secret love. I had given her everything, blood or not. Now I protect myself. I'm ready for the verdict, I thought. Confidence replaced the pain of weeks past. The judge returned, his face serious. "Mrs. Thompson is fully competent," he declared. My heart soared. Their lawsuit failed spectacularly. Sophie's tears dried up. Daniel's smugness vanished. Justice prevailed and I stood taller. They underestimated my strength, I thought, triumphant. The courtroom victory marked my liberation. I walked out head high, ready for a new chapter. My voice, once trembling with hurt, now carried power. The fight wasn't over, but I had won this battle. The courtroom victory felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I walked out into the crisp air, my navy suit still crisp, my heart lighter than it had been in years. Sophie and Daniel's defeated faces lingered in my mind, but I pushed them away. They had lost their grip on me. Their lawsuit built on lies and greed crumbled under the truth. Ms. Carter walked beside me, her voice steady and warm. "You showed them, Eleanor," she said. I smiled, feeling the power of my newfound strength. The judge's words echoed. Mrs. Thompson is fully competent. Justice had prevailed, but the cost was heavy. Revealing Sophie's adoption in court had broken something inside me. I kept that secret for love, to shield her heart. But their betrayal forced it out. Pain lingered, but triumph overshadowed it. I wasn't their pawn anymore. I drove home, the coastal breeze calming my nerves. My house, once a symbol of sacrifice, now felt like a cage. I'm done living for them, I thought. Confidence surged through me, a stark contrast to the tragic pain of weeks ago. Sophie and Daniel faced the consequences of their actions. Bankruptcy loomed over them, forcing them to downsize to a cramped apartment. They paid hefty legal fees, their reputation tarnished in our small community. I heard through Margaret that they scrambled for extra jobs. "They're learnin' to stand on their own," she said. I nodded, my tone stern, but not cruel. They paid the price for their greed, I thought. No jail time, but public shame was punishment enough. Yet a flicker of humanity stirred in me. Sophie's cousin Lily had always been kind to me. She wasn't part of their schemes. I quietly sent money for her college tuition, a small act of mercy. Not everyone's like them, I told myself. The decision felt right, softening the edges of my anger. I didn't gloat over their downfall, but justice felt satisfying. Their world unraveled because of their choices, not mine. I stood firm, no longer swayed by their manipulations. I decided to sell my house, the one I'd kept for Sophie's visits that never came. The process was swift. I found a cozy coastal condo with its balcony overlooking the ocean. The move marked a new beginning. I unpacked boxes with a sense of rebirth, arranging my pottery tools in the sunny corner. Pottery had been a passion I abandoned for their needs. Now I reclaimed it. My hands shaped clay, creating bowls and vases, each piece a symbol of my freedom. I'm building a life for me, I thought, my voice inside calm and resolute. I joined a local book club where Margaret introduced me to vibrant women, Clara, Susan, and Jane. They welcomed me with open hearts, their laughter filling my evenings. "You're one of us now," Clara said at our first meeting. Their friendship was genuine, unlike Sophie's calculated sweetness. We discussed novels over coffee, shared stories of resilience. These bonds, rooted in respect, replaced the family I'd lost. My heart warmed with every gathering, a stark contrast to the cold exclusion of the wedding. I donated half my savings to senior advocacy groups, inspired by my own fight, the money-funded programs to protect others from elder financial abuse. No one should feel used, I told Margaret during a walk. She nodded, her eyes kind. "You're making a difference," she said. The act felt empowering, a positive legacy born from pain. I traveled to Europe for the first time, visiting Paris and Rome. I sketched the Eiffel Tower, my pencils dancing over paper, reviving my old love for art. I sacrificed this for them, I thought, standing in a Roman plaza. The realization stung, but freedom soothed it. Long, thoughtful sentences filled my journal now. I learned that freedom is priceless, a gift I almost lost. My tone shifted to optimism, reflecting on my journey. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. The ocean view from my condo reminded me daily I had reclaimed my life. My sacrifices were behind me, replaced by joy and purpose. Sophie called once more, her voice desperate. "Eleanor, we're struggling," she said. I pictured her pacing, eyes darting. The landlord's threatening eviction. Subtext clear, they still wanted my money. I stayed calm, my voice even. "You made your choices," I said. "I'm not your bank anymore." She stammered, caught off guard. "But we're family." The words stung, but I didn't waver. "Family doesn't betray," I replied. I hung up, my heart steady. Their pleas no longer moved me. I had learned their true intentions. Margaret invited me to dinner that night, her home warm with candlelight. "You're stronger than ever," she said, raising a glass. I toasted back, feeling the sisterhood of my new friends. They saw me as Eleanor, not a resource. My tone grew philosophical as I reflected. "It's never too late to find your worth," I wrote later. The words felt like a promise to myself. I began volunteering at a local senior center, teaching art classes. My students, women my age, shared stories of their own struggles. "You inspire us," one said, her voice soft. I smiled, feeling connected. My life was no longer defined by Sophie and Daniel's greed. I had built something new, something mine. "True love builds you up," I told my class one day. They nodded, understanding the weight of my words. I thought of Lily, Sophie's cousin, thriving in college because of my help. Selective forgiveness had preserved a small family tie showing my humanity, but Sophie and Daniel remained distant, their calls fading. I didn't miss them. My heart had healed, not with bitterness, but with clarity. I sacrificed for years, but no more, I thought. The repetition of sacrifice was gone, replaced by empowerment. I looked at my pottery, my condo, my new friends. This was my life now, free and full. I woke to the sound of waves crashing outside my coastal condo. Sunlight streamed through the windows, casting a golden glow on my pottery wheel. My hands moved instinctively, shaping clay into a vase, each turn a reminder of my reclaimed creativity. I had abandoned this passion for years, sacrificing it for Sophie and Daniel's endless needs. But now, it was mine again. The vase emerged smooth and strong, much like my new self. I placed it on the balcony to dry, the ocean breeze carrying salt and promise. This is freedom, I thought, my heart full of quiet joy. I sipped coffee, watching the horizon, no longer weighed by their betrayal. My life had transformed, not with vengeance, but with gentle rebuilding. Sophie and Daniel's struggles reached me through whispers in town. They worked extra jobs, their lavish ways curbed by reality. I didn't seek details. Their path was theirs now. Punishment came in their isolation, honor lost among friends who knew the truth. Yet I held no grudge that poisoned me. Humanity guided my choices like aiding Lily with her studies. She wrote thank you notes, her voice genuine in every word. "You're my inspiration," she said once. That small tie mended a piece of my heart, showing that forgiveness could coexist with boundaries. I dove deeper into my book club, our meetings a highlight of my week. Clara, Susan, and Jane became my chosen family, their laughter echoing in my condo. We dissected novels about resilience, sharing tea and insights. "Eleanor, your story motivates us," Susan said during one session. I nodded, feeling the warmth of true connection. These relationships were built on mutual respect, not financial strings. I volunteered more at the senior center, teaching art to women with similar scars. Their faces lit up as they painted, stories spilling out like colors on canvas. "It's never too late to start over," I told them, my voice confiding and intimate. They hung on my words, finding hope in my journey. My donations to advocacy groups grew, funding workshops on elder protection. "Knowledge is power," I explained to a group one day. The positive impact rippled outward, a legacy born from pain. I traveled again, this time to Italy, sketching ancient ruins under the Tuscan sun. My journal is filled with longer reflections. I learned that freedom blooms brightest after the storm, nurturing the soul in ways sacrifice never could. Sophie's final call came months later, her voice softer, almost broken. "Eleanor, we're sorry," she said. I pictured her sitting alone, regret in her eyes. We didn't realize what we lost. Subtext lingered. They miss the security, but perhaps more. I listened without interruption, my heart steady. Actions speak louder, I replied gently. No anger, just truth. Daniel's silence on the line spoke volumes. I wished them well, but set clear boundaries. Find your own way, I said. The call ended peacefully, a chapter closing. Their financial woes taught lessons my generosity never did, the value of honest work, independence. I didn't rejoice in their hardship, but saw it as growth. My mercy toward Lily balanced it, preserving a fragment of family without reopening wounds. Loyalty defines bonds, not blood, I reflected, staring at the sea. The adoption reveal had freed me too, lifting the secret's weight. Sophie knew now, and perhaps understood my love's depth, but I no longer needed her validation. My days are filled with simple joys, pottery in the morning, and walks with Margaret in the afternoon. She became my confidant, our conversations philosophical and uplifting. "You've blossomed," she said over lunch one day. I agreed, feeling the truth in my bones. Older women hold power, wisdom forged in fire. "Self-esteem is our greatest treasure," I told her, my voice warm and thoughtful. She nodded, sharing her own triumphs. My condo became a haven, decorated with my art and mementos of travels. I hosted book club dinners, laughter filling the space once silent with loneliness. This is living, I thought, raising a glass with friends. The ocean's rhythm mirrored my peace, waves erasing old hurts. I wrote letters to Lily, encouraging her dreams. "Protect your heart, but open it wisely," I advised. Her replies brought joy, a positive echo in my life. As seasons changed, I embraced volunteer work fully, leading groups on elder rights. Women shared stories similar to mine, finding strength in unity. Family isn't blood, but loyalty and respect, I emphasized in sessions. They left empowered, ready to reclaim their lives. My story inspired them, a testament to resilience. I traveled to Greece next, sketching islands, my pencils capturing beauty, long denied. "It's never too late for dignity," I journaled under olive trees. Longer sentences flowed, introspection deepening my hope. I donated more, establishing a small fund for abused seniors. "Give back what pain taught you," I believed. The act healed me further, turning betrayal into purpose. Sophie and Daniel faded completely, their names rarely crossing my mind. I heard they stabilized, working steadily. Adversity shaped them as it had me. No bitterness remained. I wished them growth from afar. Evenings on my balcony became a ritual, stars twinkling above the sea. I reflected on my journey, from sacrifice to freedom. True love never demands your soul, I thought, voice inside hopeful. I had learned to love myself first, a lesson hard-won but priceless. My pottery collection grew, each piece a symbol of rebirth. Friends admired them, buying some for their homes. "You're an artist at heart," Jane said. I smiled, feeling complete. "The blue dress from the wedding?" I donated it, closing that chapter. No regrets lingered. My life was vibrant, filled with art, travel, and bonds that nourished. "Embrace your strength no matter the age," I confided in my journal, as if speaking to others. Women like me, facing family conflicts, would understand. Hope bloomed eternal, a gift I now cherished daily. I hosted a gathering for my book club, the condo alive with chatter. We discussed themes of forgiveness and renewal. "Selective mercy shows our humanity," I shared. They agreed, stories weaving together. Lily visited that month, her hug warm and genuine. "Thank you for believing in me," she said. I beamed, seeing the positive ripple of my choices. My heart swelled with optimism. The future stretched bright, unburdened by past greed. I painted the sunset, colors blending in harmony. "Freedom is my late-blooming flower," I whispered. The moral resonated deeply. Self-worth over forced ties, power in resilience. Dear reader, protect your light, for it guides you home. My journey taught me to cherish my worth, and I hope it inspires you too. Did you like my story? What city are you watching from? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. If you enjoyed this, support me with super thanks so I can keep sharing stories like mine. Thank you for your amazing support. On screen, check out 2 new real-life stories I recommend. My channel has many more waiting for you. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next story. With all love and respect, Eleanor,